Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? New Orleans Saints back on the field for OTAs. Dennis Allen met with reporters afterwards. The most newsworthy item from Wednesday's workout, Chris Olave in a red no-contact jersey. So what happened, Dennis Allen?
So he kind of tweaked his shoulder in the weight room a couple of weeks ago, and so we're just making sure that, he doesn't get bumped in any form or fashion.
The listen, this is OTAs. It's June. Yes, okay, Chris Olave hurt his shoulder in the weight room. The words that would terrify me right now are non-contact injury or surgery. If you say either of those things to me in June, I'm concerned. Anything else, Chris Olave's a young dude, high-performance athlete, injured his shoulder in the weight room, cool. Take some time, get it right. Remember, OTAs are still voluntary workouts. He doesn't even have to be out there, but he's still out there in a no-contact jersey. So even with the shoulder injury, he's still out there catching passes and running routes and everything. So just fine. Don't worry anything about it. But what's interesting is when you look at the calendar, today's June 5th, and one of the things we often talk about with respect to the NFL calendar and contracts especially is post-June 1 contract designations, meaning releasing players or trading players post-June 1. And that happens oftentimes for cap-saving measures. And when we look at the receivers, there's one guy out there that kind of is worth mentioning when you talk about receivers. And I only bring this up today because, obviously, we're talking about Chris Olave being injured, but Olave we hope will be fine, and you have Olave and Rashid Shaheed. But after that, it is kind of a question mark at receiver. You added some veterans this year, but Michael Thomas is gone. And I don't know that you've really adequately replaced Michael Thomas in the slot. And one of the guys that was a post-June 1 designation that's still a free agent is Hunter Renfrow. And this is worth mentioning because Hunter Renfrow is a guy that spent the first 4 years of his career with Derek Carr, the first year in Oakland, then 3 in Las Vegas. As a matter of fact, in 2021, that's when Renfrow had a career year, 103 receptions for 1,038 yards. So, yeah, there's some synergies there. And I don't know that we can honestly say the Saints have replaced Michael Thomas. So when you talk about Renfrow, he signed a 2-year deal with the Raiders, but now as a post-June 1 designation as a free agent, that is a guy that maybe the Saints, as they move along, kick the tires on. It's worth mentioning, the Saints, despite all of their cap gymnastics, or maybe because of all of their cap gymnastics, do have cap space. So the fact that, they went through all their off-season maneuvering like they always do, the Saints right now have over $4.5 million in cap space right now. So if they wanted to add someone on a team-friendly 1-year deal like Renfrow, you could certainly afford to do it. The other player that sort of we've all been talking about all offseason is Marshon Lattimore. And Dennis Allen was asked about when minicamp gets underway. Remember, OTAs are voluntary, but when minicamp gets underway, minicamp is mandatory. And Dennis Allen said, that he expects everyone to be there, including Marshon Lattimore.
Look, next week we've got mandatory minicamp. My expectation is that everybody will be here for mandatory minicamp.
Everyone for minicamp, that includes Marshon.
That would be my expectation.
So, we've talked a lot about Marshon Lattimore over this offseason. Does Marshon Lattimore, is he back in New Orleans? The Saints have waffled a bit and wavered. I shouldn't say wavered. I should say waffled. That's the right way to say it. They've gone back and forth about both Mickey Loomis and Dennis Allen about their expectation of Marshon Lattimore. And the most recent conversations from the Saints brass is that definitively Marshon Lattimore would be a part of the New Orleans Saints in 2024. As I look at the list right now of these post-June 1 designations, the more I lean toward trading Marshon Lattimore if you get the right deal. Bear with me, okay? And I want to be very abundantly clear. Marshon Lattimore is the best cornerback in the history of this organization. You're a better team with Marshon Lattimore than without him. But the question is, are you a contending team with Marshon Lattimore? And the reality is, last year Lattimore played in 10 games. You were 5-5 in the 10 games he played. So, in the last game he played of the season was the game against Minnesota when Joshua Dobbs beat you. That's the last time we saw Lattimore this season. So, I don't know. I don't believe the Saints are a contender anyway. I mean, your Vegas win total projection is 7.5 over/under. How many wins is Marshon Lattimore good for? I don't think if Lattimore's there or isn't, it changes your win total projection. So, when I started looking today at the list of some of the free agent cornerbacks, the post-June 1 cornerbacks that are out there, I mean, you have some dudes, some veterans who at points in their career have been really good players that could be available on a one-year deal. For example, Xavier Howard from Miami. Now, Xavier Howard's going to turn 31 years old on the 4th of July. So he's a guy that's getting a little bit long in the tooth. Last year, played in 13 games, so he missed 4 games last year. But let me remind you, Lattimore missed 7 games last year. Lattimore's missed 17 combined in the last 2 years. Xavier Howard was awesome back in 2020. In the COVID year, he had 10 interceptions. Since then, he went from 5 to 1 to 1 again last year. So, as a guy who's about to be 31, his production has trailed off tremendously, but could a new setting maybe help Xavier Howard? Stephon Gilmore, all-pro cornerback. Now, Stephon Gilmore is going to be 34 years old on September the 19th. But he played every game last year for Dallas, all 17. The concern about Gilmore is over the last 4 years, he's played with 4 different teams. New England, Carolina, the Colts, and Dallas. And if he were to leave Dallas and play somewhere else this year, that'd be his 5th team in as many years. Ultimately, you look at the circumstantial evidence and say, if he's still really a good player, why aren't teams re-signing him? Which is fair. But could he be a serviceable cornerback for you? Clearly, he started 17 games for Dallas last year. And the other one worth mentioning is Adoree Jackson. And maybe I'm just romantic about Adoree Jackson because he was the one that got away. LSU recruited him so heavily. It came down to LSU and USC. He ended up picking SC. And listen, he's bounced around a little bit in the end. I shouldn't say bounced around. He played for Tennessee. Now he's with the Giants. And he's played a lot of games. Last year, played 14 games. Started 14 games, I should say. And in his career, Adoree Jackson's played in 83 NFL games. The problem is in 83 NFL games, Adoree Jackson has 4 interceptions. Now, he's the youngest of the group I just mentioned, 29 years old on September the 18th. So Xavier Howard, Stephon Gilmore, Adoree Jackson, all starting caliber cornerbacks. None of them at this point at their best is better than Marshon Lattimore, but ask yourself this question. Does Marshon Lattimore make you a contender? If the answer is no, and you have the opportunity to get an asset for him and dump some salary, why not? Because remember, as we look at Marshon Lattimore's contract, yes, it is a rich contract. There's no doubt about it. He signed a 5-year, $97 million deal. And when we look at Lattimore and the cap breakdown right now, his cap hit this year is $14 million. But the dead cap number this year is around $10 million for Marshon Lattimore. So if it was a post-June 1 trade or release. So if the Saints were to trade Marshon Lattimore, follow me here, the dead cap number would go down to $10 million. So you'd save $4 million on the dead cap number if you traded him at this point. Next year, Marshon Lattimore's cap number is $31 million. It would go down to 20.6, and then in 2026, you'd still have him on the books for $9.9 million no matter what. So my point is, you'd save, if you traded Lattimore now, you'd save money this year and next year, and you'd get an asset, and there's veteran players available who are serviceable. Would I prefer Marshon Lattimore be on my team? Yes, I would. But if you can get an asset for him and save money, and it's not going to affect your win-loss record materially, and there's veterans like Xavier Howard, Stephon Gilmore, Adoree Jackson out there, should you make the move? I'm going to say yes. Yes. Because I don't think the New Orleans Saints are a contender. The problem is the New Orleans Saints think they're a contender. And as long as they do, they're going to latch onto their really good players and their assets, like Marshon Lattimore. We'll see how it plays out. Saints are back at OTAs today, minicamp next week, and the expectation is that Marshon Lattimore will be out there. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.